All right, guys, it is that time again. Welcome back into Dom Details Daily, your daily dose of way off sport commentary, whose exes no longer live in Texas. Yeah, that's right. We are talking all things Dez Bryant today. Now, if you have an internet connection, a social media account, or a pulse, you know that Dez Bryant was released from the Dallas Cowboys after 8 loyal seasons with the team this past Friday. Now, if you have any of those things, and maybe a friend who let you know that he took it pretty personal, and he's looking to join an NFC East rival to, meet up with these Dallas Cowboys 2 times a year and show them what they're missing. Now, today it was rumored that he might be looking to join the New York Giants, and I actually think that might be a pretty decent fit. And with that, I wanted to go ahead and do a 3-part series of why he makes sense with each of these teams. Obviously, there are going to be some negatives to that, but, we'll handle that as they come. All right, pause. Now, I know you guys like some way off commentary. I know you do. Why? Because it gets your grinds gearing. It gets you talking. It gets you mad. It gets you wanting to argue with me. Understandably so. Now, I did this just so you guys can think for yourself, just so you guys can be way off, or think for yourself and I'll just be way off. Either way, go ahead and drop a subscribe if you like this content. Go ahead and drop a like if you like this content. Join the fam bam. Get in on this. I really want to start getting you guys more involved. I really want to see what you guys like to hear. Go ahead and do those things, and let's get back into the episode. Now, first and foremost, one of the things you have to consider is how Dez Bryant is going to be used. Now, I think that this makes sense for him because the New York Giants are known to utilize their receiving core. Why? Well, they have 3 beastly receivers as it stands. You have Brandon Marshall, who's looking to prove himself. You have an Odell Beckham Jr. who excels in every single category. And you have a Sterling Shepard who is continually on the rise, alongside a tight end and Evan Ingram, who really took over in the height of injury last year. Now, why does this move make sense for Dez, even though they have a pretty solid receiving core as is? Well, not only is it another big name in the Big Apple, but Dez could actually be utilized here. You have to look at the fact that there's 2 competing wide receivers for this starting position. Brandon Marshall, thanks to his injury last year, didn't get to prove himself in the way that he wanted to after being cut by the New York Jets that previous season. So everything's kind of up for grabs at this moment. Now, what does that do? It brings in our attention. I'm going to be watching for sure. And that's only good publicity for a team who's really been struggling. Now, another reason this makes sense is because having another threat really takes the pressure off Eli Manning. People have been alluding to the fact that he's been struggling for the past couple of seasons, even though his numbers don't really show it. Honestly, if you look at the numbers, he's been pretty consistent with what he's produced over the past, I don't know how many seasons now. But having a threat that's quick and versatile like Odell Beckham Jr., having a guy that can go for that jump ball in Dez Bryant, and somebody who can get physical, which Dez is looking to do now that they've cut him. He's going to be more physical than ever, looking to earn that paycheck. I don't see why this couldn't take some of that pressure off of Eli and bring that dangerous, dynamic offense back into the New York area. Now, another thing to look at, and this is more from a money standpoint, it seems like on Twitter, to be completely honest, Dez Bryant has more loyal fans, almost like they were there for Dez and that monumental X that he was throwing up. That's more fans that are looking to go take that tour through New York City. That's more fans that are going to fill up that stadium and, throw up that X. Now, the next thing to look at is the money aspect. Now, Dez says he's not in it for the money. He's more of a respect and loyalty kind of guy, in my opinion. It's still going to come down to you have to have reasonable numbers. Don't disrespect the man as far as the numbers go. And I do feel like his play is going to have to speak for itself, but we have to look at long term. Is he looking at being with the Giants long term, or is he trying to make a statement, and is he trying to go? I don't know how this is going to hit the cap over the long term, or even if they're going to have enough money to sign him in the first place. I haven't really crunched those numbers yet. But if all things work out that way, I don't know if I still see Dez there for the long time. I feel like if anything, he's going to make a quick impact over the next 2 to 3 years and call it a day. Another place to look at is how this is going to impact the team overall. Obviously, you can bring in that offensive threat, but how is it going to fare on the defensive end? Well, defenses always tend to do better if they don't have to spend their entire game on the field fixing offense's mistakes and offense's shortcomings. So, something else to look at. I think you might be looking at a more complete team as the time goes on. Now, the last thing I really want to look into is the numbers aspect of everything. See where Dez kind of fares with these stats. As far as we know, Dez is pretty much known for his jump ball and being a deep threat for guys and making that play. But I really wanted to see where he could be utilized in this aspect. Obviously, you have Odell, but can he take some of the pressure off of Odell, just focusing on his numbers the past couple of years? Dez Bryant was actually targeted more in the 2017-2018 season than he was in the 16-17 season, and he produced and delivered at right about the same. If I'm not mistaken, I'll have numbers for you. Now, another thing that I wanted to look at was just where Dez kind of fares in these super clutch situations, because a lot of Dallas Cowboys memories come from Dez in clutch performance times. And one of the things that I was really adamant about looking into was red zone play, mainly because I honestly feel like just with the receiving trio that they have now and with their build-up backs and just a healthy overall team, they're going to make it into the red zone. You have Odell, but what if we need a relief for Odell? What if we need a new look? I was thinking that could be Dez. Now, looking at Dez's red zone play, he had 20 targets towards him. Out of those 20 targets, he had 11 receptions. Now, in third or fourth down situations, so super clutch situations, he was 12 of 20 on third and fourth downs, and as far as targets go, and he only delivered really 2 or 3 times. Now, I'll leave those numbers there for you so you guys can take a look at those yourselves. So how will he fare in clutch situations? I mean, with the chip on anybody's shoulder, I think he'll definitely do well against the Cowboys and division rivals. So we'll see how that works out. I don't know if he's going to be there or not long term, but I do think that he might actually work out with the Giants, for 1 or 2 years, maybe a contract filled with incentives, maybe let him earn his money on that front. But do you want to build around a guy that might possibly just want to make his case and then maybe retire, or maybe look for a long-term deal that you might not be able to provide him in a couple of years now that you're building around him, and pass up on guys that you can build around? So just to kind of reiterate there, I do think that he'll be heavily utilized in New York just because they rely heavily on their receivers. I think it can take a lot of pressure off of Odell himself. I think it can take a lot of pressure off of Eli, just finding that reliability. I do think that he is willing to play for less, but I don't know if he's going to be there long term, or if you even want to put him there long term. And as far as his performance in clutch situations, he's known to do it. He hasn't necessarily produced this past year, but like I said, with the chip on your shoulder, you can do just about anything. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up here for me today. I'm going to go ahead and drop some links down below where you can go check out the stats for yourself. As far as salaries and those things, I'm going to try and find some information on those and drop those down below for those of you who are curious. I will be doing the other 2 parts of the series over the next coming days, one being with Dez's fit in Washington and Dez's fit in Philadelphia, just to kind of zhuzh things up. So you guys stay tuned for that. I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Otherwise, make sure that you subscribe. So if you want to see some more way off commentary tomorrow, and then please be sure to comment down below. I'd like to hear your thoughts about where this is going and get you guys kind of involved in this conversation. Otherwise, this is Dom Details Daily. I'm way off and I'm way out.